everybody. Happy Friday night. Welcome to Canadian Food Focus. I'm Andrea Buckett Cooks. If you don't know who I am, I'm a food expert and a recipe developer and culinary instructor, and I'm so excited to have been invited here tonight to share a recipe using Canadian beer. We all love beer. We all love beer in the summertime. Beer and barbecue is a natural fit. So I'm going to show you a recipe I developed for Canadian Food Focus, and you'll be able to get that recipe on their site, along with a great article I wrote about cooking with beer or Canadian beer. So, as always, I have my husband on the other side of the camera, Trevor. He's going to read your questions. So let me know when you hop on, if you're watching, where you're watching from, what you're doing this fine Friday night, and we're going to get started any second. But let me know that you're watching, and if you have any questions, be sure to ask them in the question below. So beer, hugely popular in Canada, and off the top, I just want to talk about a couple of different types of beer, because even though you go to the beer store and you see a variety of different kinds of beer, there's actually only two main categories of beer. There are ales, and then there are lagers. So ales are sort of like the older style of beer. They've been made since antiquity. And here in Canada, we actually started brewing beer because the grape season wasn't so long. So in New France, of course, they loved their wine, but because our grape season wasn't as long, we started using barley to malt and then ferment and make beautiful beers like ales. So ales and lagers. Ales typically have a top ferment, which means the yeast lives on top. It's fermented for a longer period of time in a warmer condition. Lagers, on the other hand, are bottom fermented, so the yeast falls to the bottom and it does all its magic work down there, and it's fermented in colder conditions, so typically it takes a longer period of time. And then all the other beers that we love, whether they're stouts or IPAs, they fall into those categories. So ale, think about pale ales, IPAs, porters, stouts, wheat, and Belgium. Who's out there, Trevor? Anyone saying hi?
We've got a few people with us, yes. Sandy Knight is watching.
Hi, Sandy.
Dorothy Sandercock is with us. A few others, but I don't see anybody else's names.
Awesome. Well, welcome to my backyard. Hope everyone, wherever you are in Canada. I know Sandy's out in Saskatchewan, I think. I'm right. I met her out in Saskatchewan when I was there. So happy to have you here. So let's start with this recipe. We are going to make a stout and gingered marinated salmon on a cedar plank.
Wow.
So let's start with the marinade first. So a stout beer is in the ale category, and it is a richer style beer. Many of us know Guinness as the most popular type of stout, but I'm choosing, of course, a Canadian brand tonight. This is a Mill Street Cobblestone. It's rich, it's delicious, it has flavors of coffee and chocolate, and what they do is they roast the barley. And as we know, barley is one of Canada's largest crops that we grow, and so we'd love to promote the use of barley. So we're going to start with 1 cup of this stout. Now this one happens to be a nitro stout, so it has a nice, beautiful, frothy head on it. So it's nice and creamy when you drink it. And this takes about a cup of stout, and then the other cup of that goes right down the head.
Well, while you do that, Andrea, Manitoba is Sandy Knight.
Manitoba.
Yeah, and we have Lisa from Ottawa.
Hi, Lisa.
Dolores from Calgary. We're from all over Canada right now. It's great.
And if you're watching from my page, Andrea Buckett Cooks, in order to ask questions, you have to hop on over to Canadian Food Focus. So make sure you do that if you're watching. Okay? Okay, so this recipe, we'll start with 1 cup. I have to remind myself what's in it. I want to make sure I don't miss anything. So, like I said, a stout has beautiful, caramely, rich coffee flavors. We're going to add a little bit of, there's a little bit of bitterness to it, but not too much. It's fairly smooth. Me, myself, I love a stout. I love a porter. Porters are very similar to stouts, and they have a very rich flavor, so I love them, but I know some people don't love them. Perhaps you prefer something a little bit lighter. So we're going to put 3 tablespoons of, in this case we have yellow sugar, but you can use brown sugar as well. And this just helps to sweeten up the marinade. Whenever I make a marinade, I try to think about the balance of flavors. So we've got that stout that's rich and beautiful. The brown sugar adds a sweetness. And then we are going to add 3 tablespoons of soy sauce. I'm just going to eyeball this. Now when choosing soy sauces, they are made differently. I like to look for one that is naturally fermented. Okay, so always look at the back of the ingredients. The ingredients should read water, soybeans, which we also grow, wheat, which we also grow, salt, and then a brewing starter. That's all that should be in it. You shouldn't have things like caramel color. We want something that has a beautiful, rich flavor to match that stout. So a little bit of the soy sauce, mustard. This is a grainy Dijon, so I always love the pop of flavor that those beautiful mustard seeds give us. Again, another amazing crop that we grow here in Canada. And for those of you who don't know, the mustard seeds that we grow here in Canada are actually, a lot of them are exported out of the country to France, where they develop beautiful yellow mustards and Dijon mustards and then sent back to Canada. So we should be very proud of the mustard seeds that we grow here. All right, next up we've got some acidity in this marinade, and I'm going to go in with a lime. Just about a tablespoon of lime juice here. Awesome. And then finally we're going to give it, well not finally, we have two more things. We're going to, about a quarter teaspoon of hot pepper flakes. So again with the balance, just a little bit of heat. And then last but certainly not least, we have to get our ginger going. So you can cut this just with a knife. You want it minced fairly fine. Or this is a great little gadget that I purchased on one of my trips to Vancouver, to the market there, Granville Island. And this does an amazing job of getting that garlic nice and chopped. It's almost pureed. And when you get garlic chopped like this, what happens is that it really intensifies the flavor, right? So the more you chop it, the more you process it, it has a stronger flavor. So that's why I love to do it this way. I think you can also get these on Amazon. So if you're looking for a gadget like this, check Amazon. What it's traditionally used for actually is wasabi. Wasabi is a root, and when they make it, it has to be grated on something like this. All right, that looks good. Let me know if you have any questions. Happy to answer them. I'm going to pop all that ginger right in there. Beautiful. That's it. So, the key to this marinade, because we're going to actually divide this marinade into two, is to dissolve that brown sugar. So give it a good stir because the sugar can sit on the bottom.
But Andrea, before we go too far, we do have a question.
Okay.
What is the name of that gadget you just had?
Oh, geez. It's a grater, a ginger grater, a wasabi grater, a ceramic mini grater. I'm making them all up, but if you search any of those terms on Amazon, this will surely pop up. Some small ceramic grater, look it up. Maybe I'll get my assistant over here to look it up and get back to you. Okay, so there we go. Okay, so for this recipe, we're using salmon. 6-ounce portions, about the perfect size. And what we're going to do, like I said, is we're going to divide this marinade in half. So half of it is going to go onto our salmon, which I've already done ahead of time, and you're going to marinate it for no more than 30 to 45 minutes. Because salmon is more tender, it's not like beef or chicken where the musculature is tighter. You want to marinate it for less time because there is a little bit of lime in there, a little bit of acid.
Yeah, it's called ginger grater.
It's called ginger grater on Amazon. So because there's some lime in there, if you leave it for longer than an hour or 45 minutes, what happens is the protein starts to denature and it starts to cook. So we don't want that. All right, so here we go. We're going to put half of the marinade into this pot here. And we're going to pop it on a burner. So you would just pop this on your burner in the house. And we're going to reduce that to really concentrate all those beautiful flavors, whisk in a little bit of butter, and then we're going to baste salmon when it comes off. So it's just an extra layer of intensified flavor. Okay, so let's talk cedar planks here. So this is a cedar plank. Now be wary, you can't just go to the local Home Depot or Canadian Tire to buy cedar. You have to buy cedar that's specifically for cooking, that's untreated. So we'll tell you have to soak it for about 30 minutes. It can go longer, but you want to soak it for 30 minutes because obviously it's wood and you don't want it to burn on your barbecue. But what it does is it infuses your salmon with this beautiful smoky flavor. And I just love cooking with it. You can do vegetables on there, you can do brie on there. There's lots of different things you can do. So we've just had this one soaking. I'm just going to now this is the salmon that I've marinated ahead of time. And what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to, I'm jumping all over the place a little bit. I want to just turn my burner on here because I want to get that reducing.
Well, while you do that, Andrea,
Yes.
aloha from Jana, all the
Hi,
way from
Jana.
Hawaii.
Amazing.
Hello from Calgary, Laura
Hello.
Pedersen.
Hello.
Loves some new ideas for salmon. We all love salmon. Well, the ones who are watching.
The great thing about doing Facebook and not national TV is that I can actually have a sip of beer. So yeah, it's great. It's a bonus on a Friday night, wouldn't you say? All right. So I'm running out of spaces here. That's okay. So I just want to take the salmon out. I'm going to just close my lid on my barbecue here because you want to get this up to about 400 degrees. And then you cook it like it's in an oven. So with salmon, the cooking time really always depends on how thick your salmon is, okay? So this is only about, I mean, the thickest part here is probably just about an inch.
Yeah.
And in my experience, some of them are a little bit thinner. In my experience, a piece of salmon like this takes maybe 12 minutes. It depends, of course, on the temperature of your oven or your barbecue. So if it's at about 400, 450, it'll take less time. So you want to make sure that your salmon is separated here because if it's tucked too close together, then it'll take longer to cook. Okay, I'm just going to put those 4 babies on there, and then I'm going to get, is there a wipe over there somewhere, assistant? I need a wipe to wipe my hand. Thank you. Okay. All right, so our barbecue is up nice and hot. We have this on fairly high. I hope it's still on.
It is.
This you're just looking to bring to a boil and reduce by half. Okay, so let's pop this on the barbecue. Just remind me, you just want to be careful, just slide it on very carefully, like that. All right, there we go. That's cooking. I think we should make a side salad to go with the salmon. What do you think?
Well, let's cheers first.
Cheers.
Because we can.
Happy Friday.
Yes.
So let me know if you guys are watching. Let me know, how do you use beer in recipes? Do you have a favorite way to use beer? Do you like beer cocktails? I actually just got onto beer cocktails last year, although my dad, I grew up, my dad loves Red Eyes. Okay, so Red Eyes is like a lager, so it's a light style beer, accompanied by some tomato juice. So some of you might be like, oh, that's gross. But it's actually super refreshing. If you like Bloody Marys, if you like Caesars or something like that, I think you will actually really enjoy a Red Eye. Then you have the Michelita, which is similar, but it has more of a Bloody Mary style. You've got Worcestershire sauce, and you've got hot sauce, and you can, adorn it with celery, and that's really delicious. And then you can do a cocktail with a little bit of coffee in like a porter style. So lots of different things that you can do with beer. All right, let's make a salad dressing, shall we? I'm just gonna put this here. I'm just gonna make a quick salad dressing. I thought a nice salad to go with this would be easy. And
Sounds great.
just going to complement the flavors that we have with the salmon. So about a tablespoon of this grainy Dijon. Then we're gonna sweeten it up. So you can use brown sugar. I'm gonna go in with honey. It has a bit of a rounder flavor. Again, a nice Canadian product. And then we're going to put in some apple cider vinegar. Typically the ratio is like 1 to 3 oil to vinegar. I tend to like things a little bit more acidic, with a little bit more punch, but you decide what you like to do in your own kitchen. And then of course a nice pinch of salt. More salt than you probably actually think. Lettuce actually needs a lot of salt. It doesn't have a ton of flavor. Let's see, this is bubbling away here, beautiful. Okay. And then we are just going to grab our whisk and stream in, of course, our canola oil. Right now, if you live in Manitoba or out that way, that you know that the canola fields are bright yellow, and they're just gorgeous. I have a lot of friends that farm canola, and when they post their pictures of the canola fields this time of year, they are stunning. I have had the opportunity to be out there during harvest and drive a combine and meet some of our amazing farmers, and it was an amazing experience. I really think if people saw the work that went into farming, they would have a whole different appreciation for where their food comes from, how long it takes to produce, and all the steps it takes to get to your grocery store and onto your table. So I'm just going to give this a quick taste. Perfect. I want to check in on our salmon. Not quite. It's only been on there 5 minutes maybe. And let's talk salad. So my favorite way to store salad, and salad greens are everywhere right now. If you have your own garden, you know they're probably taking over. Now instead of a mesclun mix was super popular like 90s, early 2000s, and I find that when you buy them boxed, they're not always the most flavorful, although I do still love them. I instead like to sort of make my own blend. So I don't garden. So for those of you who take the time to garden, good for you. I mean, I just think that's amazing. I just support all our local farmers. So we have some red leaf lettuce here. I'm just going to tear this up, and I'm going to put this right here on top of the dressing. And this is a good way to do it if you're not quite ready, your guests aren't there, but you want to serve a salad. Just pop your lettuce right there on top. This is going to be a basic green salad. Of course, you could use romaine, you could use arugula. A couple varieties is nice. So we've got green and red leaf lettuce here. Let me just get this guy out of here. Smoking myself out a little bit, that's okay. And after you clean it, if you just roll it up in a little paper towel and put it in a Ziploc bag, A, it's easier to store, and B, it lasts longer. So I do the same for plain old head lettuce. Now I know head lettuce gets a bad rap. Just want to check in on this. I'm smoking myself out here. I'm partly in a cedar, what do you call it? Sauna. I need a squirt bottle. Let's just move this over, guys. We had that up a little too high. Sorry guys, just gonna move this over. Perfect.
Turn this one off.
All right, so where were we? So head lettuce I know gets a bad rap, but it actually adds a beautiful crunch to salad. So I'm gonna go ahead and add that in. And I like to store my head lettuce the same way, just wrapped up in a paper towel. And then you can add whatever you like. I'm just gonna keep this simple green salad here. Perfect. We are good, guys. That salmon is almost done. I wish you guys could smell it.
Hello from Aurora.
We're good. Hello.
And Jana from Hawaii says she farms 2 acres in Hawaii.
Wow.
And people always question her prices. They have no idea the amount of work that it takes.
I know. And we all want lower prices, right? But the amount of labor and energy that goes into farming is outrageous. It's unreal. Outreal, is that a word?
It is now.
All right, here we go. So this is bubbling up. And it's almost there. It's almost reduced by half. We're just going to let that go a little bit longer, guys. So we're going to leave our lettuce there until we're ready to toss it. Probably didn't bring anything else to toss it. And we're going to chop up our cilantro. So this salmon, once it comes off the barbecue and it's cooked, will get garnished with a little bit of cilantro. If you're not a fan of cilantro, don't worry. You can absolutely use parsley. Flat leaf parsley would be my choice. You could use basil or mint, would also be delicious here. But my choice is cilantro. And I also, when I'm doing something like this, I will use the stems. The stems are nice and tender, and they chop up really easily. So I'm just going to get a bunch of that. And again, same way I store my lettuce is I store my herbs. So they've been washed and spun, dried, put in a paper towel, and then tucked in here. And these will last probably at least for up to a week.
Well, Andrea, Julie says hello from Oshawa.
Hi, Julie.
And Marion says awesome. She loves your recipes. Simple and good.
So we are pretty much there with the salmon. What I'm going to do is turn that off. Thank you for saying so. I'm glad you love my recipes. I love that you hop on here and join us on Friday night. So when you want to see if salmon's done, there's a couple ways to do it. I always want it to be slightly, there's nothing wrong with going in, because the more you practice, the easier it'll become. But we're going to look at the thickest one here. And we're looking, that's a little bit underdone. But we are looking, this one's probably done. Yeah, this one's done. It's a little bit thin. This guy is going to take probably another 3 minutes or so. So let's leave that on there. Let's chop up our cilantro and green onions actually, but I think I forgot my green onions inside, so that's okay. We'll just garnish it with the cilantro.
Well, that's really reduced, eh?
Yeah, so that gets reduced probably by over half. And you don't have to chop the heck out of these. You know, I like to leave them with a little bit of substance to garnish. We'll just tuck those to the side. And I am going to move my salmon plank just back slightly into the center here. Woo!
Oh, it's getting hot out here.
Cheers, Trevor. Does anyone have any questions about cooking with beer? Or another great thing if you're happen to want to do some seafood, you can steam mussels open with beer. It's also a lovely thing to do. Some shallots, some garlic. Add your mussels in, and instead of adding wine, you know, choose a nice Canadian beer. And people always say, like, what kind of beer should I cook with? Cook with the beer that you have in your fridge. Okay. There's lots of amazing beers in Canada. Of course, we have the big guys, and then we have amazing local craft brewers popping up all over the country that make amazing, delicious styles of beer. Okay, here we go. So let's have a look here at our sauce. Shall we, Trev?
Yep. Oh, that's a hint for me to come in. Gotcha. I was just reading. Jean was wondering where you got your fence decor from.
Oh, that's just a good old Home Depot. Perfect. So you can see that that's reduced by half. And it's thickened up there quite a bit, so it's nice and caramely in color. What I'm going to do here to enrich the sauce as you would, or as I would, is to add a little bit of butter. It doesn't take a ton of butter. About a tablespoon of butter is just going to give it a nice gloss, and it's going to add a ton of flavor to the end product here. So I'm going to pop this in, just a tablespoon of butter. You can use salted or unsalted, whatever you have on hand. And I am going to whisk that in, just like that. And because all of those flavors have reduced and combined, beautiful. So you can see how nice and glossy it makes it, and it doesn't take a lot of butter to do that, but we love a good knob of butter to enrich a beautiful sauce that's been reduced. So all those flavors of ginger, soy, you know, are going to be really intensified and delicious. So let's just turn that off. Clean up a little bit here. Who wants to come clean up after? Anybody? Look, my magic fairy came and dropped off my green onions. All right, here we go. I'm just going to trim this a little bit, and I'm going to just chop this up. So something nice and fresh on something that has such rich flavors is always a nice contrast. And you can use the green and the white part. No reason to use one or the other. Just use it all. And then we're going to check in on our salmon. All right. What do you think, Trevor? Think we're there? I think we're probably almost there. Yeah, starting to flake apart beautifully. Gorgeous. Beautiful. Okay, so let's toss the salad.
Yeah, so Sandy Knight loves the butter trick. Cheers to dairy farmers.
Cheers to dairy farmers.
Right? Jana's hubby is in Alaska fishing. Going to bring home some king salmon tonight.
Oh my God.
She's going to make this.
So, yeah, we have some amazing salmon here in Canada, obviously. The best salmon I ever had was my friend Melanie, who's actually a dietitian who lives in Kelowna, went fishing with her dad in some remote place of Canada, and she brought this amazing salmon back, and they froze it. She caught it and they froze it, and it was just to die for. So yeah, salmon here in Canada, yes, we love it. Cameron, I need something to toss the salad with. We're just sending him in. We'll take questions at this time. It's a family affair here, guys. All right. We're gonna take off. We're gonna plate everything. So I'm just gonna grab this here. Now, when you take your salmon off the barbecue, there's a couple ways you can do it. You just want to be very careful. I am going to dump this. Is this hot? We're just gonna take a little field trip, guys. Let's do a little field trip. And I'm going to, this is where my cedar plank was soaking, and I'm just gonna water the grass right there.
Can you reuse the plank?
I never have. I don't know that you can.
Just a question that was asked.
Let's take these. So I'm just gonna grab the plank here and just slide it. Now your baking sheet is going to get hot fairly quickly, so just work fairly quickly. I'm just gonna pop that guy there. Amazing. And then we are going to baste that. I'm going to leave that here.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to baste this with that beautiful rich sauce to give it a little extra flavor. You could serve it at the table too, just like you would maybe a gravy, or pour it on the plate depending how fancy you want to get. Beautiful. You can baste it also while it's on there and then cook it again. I mean,
my mouth is watering.
yeah, super delicious. Almost there. Okay, does that look good, Trev?
Looks amazing.
Who doesn't love a little bit of salmon? It's a bit different from what we're used to. Okay, let's give this a toss. You could add an apple to this, that would be lovely, but you know, sometimes it's just nice. You don't have to complicate it. Just make a nice, beautiful tossed green salad. Get all those little mustard seeds up and around that lettuce and flavor it all. Woo. Okay, so let's do this. Let's put some salad here on the plate. And then we'll grab a piece of the salmon here. Now you can use skin on salmon or skin off salmon. If you do it with the skin on, you're just gonna, when you take it off the cedar plank, you're just gonna leave the skin behind. And then we're just gonna garnish this. Cilantro, green onions, you could do it there, you could do it right here at the, and take that right to the table. It smells gorgeous. And there you have it, everybody. That is our stout and ginger marinated salmon cooked on a cedar plank, served up with a simple side salad. And that's our Friday Night Live for today. I hope you guys learned something new. I hope I've inspired you to go and cook with Canadian beer. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll answer them now before I hop off, or I'll answer them in the replay.
Here's a question.
Okay.
Angela has a question.
Okay.
Would you marinate, or would the marinade work well with other kind of fish?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. You can use whatever kind of fish you like. It's quite a strong marinade because the stout has a very rich flavor. That's why salmon, it's very fatty, it stands up to it, but you could use other type of fish, halibut, or like a nice hearty white fish. Yeah, absolutely.
It looks so good, looks delicious. Yeah, Sandy Knight's mouth is watering as well. Yeah, that's
Amazing.
it.
I should try it before I let you guys go. Not to like brag or anything, but I wish you guys could taste it. Yep, it's delicious. It's a winner. Get the recipe at the Canadian Food Focus website along with the article on how to cook with beer.
Oh, we do have an answer from a question earlier. Sorry.
Okay.
You can reuse planks maybe 3 to 4 times if prepared properly,
Okay.
but realize that it will hold onto flavor of what was barbecued
Okay, that makes sense.
on it. So keep it just for fish.
Perfect. Use the fish ones for fish. The cheese ones you probably couldn't use. They'd be ooey gooey all over. But nonetheless, have a great Friday night, everybody. Trevor, thanks for doing questions. And let's be proud to be Canadian and grow some of the most delicious food in the world.
Can't wait for dinner. Cheers.